Hello, and thank you for joining us for another installment of Talking Talk. This week we are diving back into Call Her Daddy.
That's right, helmed by the illustrious Alex Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, she is acclaimed for good reason, and, this week we decided to do a bit of a wellness check on her. I mean, queen of the unwell brand needed a bit of a wellness check. I think that's a bit fair.
I like where your head's at there.
Yeah, and she was joined by Charlize Theron, incredible actress, blockbuster movie star.
Here to promote her new film, The Old Guard 2. We're going to get into that more towards the end of the podcast, but we should know up front that Charlize is a method actress. She's a method podcaster, I'd say, too. But a little just personal note here. Like her appearance in Mad Max, I decided to shave my head.
You just want to get that out of the way.
When we decided we were going to be covering this episode, I said, here's someone that commits to their craft. Why don't I try that myself and just see if I could, get into that mind space,
Yeah, you took a trip down to Long Beach, California.
We went together.
Yeah, but you made the trek specifically for this
the buzz
haircut.
cut.
I wanted to see the sights. I hadn't been to Long Beach before. Love the town. Great town.
Great place to get a buzz cut.
Great coastal city. And yeah, I'm glad you got this haircut. It's quite befitting for the episode. And Charlize, total rock star.
Total rock star. I have to say a bit of a potty mouth. I'm wearing marijuana socks to also reflect that this podcast, Hide Your Kids, is a little X-rated. We get into that in the beginning. I mean, before we get into all of this, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's break down the technicals. We're revisiting a podcast, where the production designers take so much careful consideration and preparation.
That's right.
Before inviting people to even think about sitting down on this podcast.
Yeah.
But in this episode, the wide shot was off kilter.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. I mean, first time we visited Alex, we ran that thing through a simulation.
Yeah.
And we determined that everything was perfectly symmetrical. The frame itself, I mean, both Alex and her guest, last time it was Millie Bobby Brown, perfectly spaced apart from the center of the frame. The Call Her Daddy lettering stenciling above the fireplace, perfectly centered. Mm-hmm. This week, it was a bit off.
The ottoman in between the two couches does not line up with the fireplace. Again, there is the basket right next to the fireplace, safety hazard. We've brought up this issue before with Alex. I hate to see that she really did not.
Settling into old habits.
Here our advice. Changing. Yep. Okay, so someone has really good fire insurance.
Yeah, but I do want to stress that I think it's more the lettering that was off-center this episode. So I don't know if they changed a lot of the furniture or pushed the furniture one direction. I think more to the left. It just, the room felt off kilter, and every time it cut to the wide, it was a bit of a pinging in my brain. It felt uncomfortable.
Well, what's new in this set, right? I mean, we have the same bowl of red Mike and Ike's.
Yeah, or red hots, red tamales, hot tamales. What is it?
Hot tamales? We have the beautiful couches. I want to say there is a little timer.
Yeah.
To, I would say, starboard side, of Charlize, if camera
side of the
starboard
room.
Side.
Yeah.
It almost looked like a humidifier.
You likened it to the gecko timer that you have in your terrarium.
I do have two geckos. I mean, it looks like what how I read their humidity in the tank, and I don't know if Alex was a little concerned with just the climate in that room.
I was
microclimate control.
It was a clock. I was seeing clock numbers on that.
To me,
that panel.
It looked like something 59.
Yeah.
It just looked like two numbers, and
I
don't
can't
know if
imagine
this
it was that chilly in that room.
Well, Fahrenheit or Celsius, we don't know, right?
I mean, they were layered up if it was Celsius.
Well, look, Charlize had her shoes off, so it was a little too hot for her Uggs. Okay, we don't know what it was.
I won't push you on that. I won't push you on that.
If it was a timer, we have to ask ourselves, why would the timer be positioned in that way? Because Alex isn't looking at the timer. She's there to have conversations.
Yeah.
Are we offloading duties to the podcast host? I hope not.
Yeah.
This is what a producer does.
Yeah, there's a green light on most stage productions for a reason, to let people on stage know that they're running up against the clock. I don't know why they can't do a green light situation on Call Her Daddy? And I mean, we didn't see this timer on the Millie Bobby Brown episode, so I do wonder if this is a new element. I don't know if it's... we haven't seen any episodes on the in-between, so I don't know when this was introduced. Sure. If it'll be stripped away soon. It's a
new feature.
Yeah,
and we don't know.
It's a bug, I would say.
We don't know if Charlize's team said, look, she has a busy schedule promoting the Old Guard 2.
Yeah.
Alex, you're going to get her for, an hour and a half clean.
Yeah.
She's out of there, right?
It's possible.
But to make a note of it being seen in such plain sight, right?
Yeah.
The set feels too carefully prepared for a slip up like that, so it was intentional. And now we have to start wondering why. Again, we could go dig ourselves down this rabbit hole, but then we cut to the solo shot of Alex.
Yeah.
What do we see in the bottom left corner?
It, didn't follow OSHA code, I imagine. I mean, this is a live wire traipsing along the floor behind Alex.
This is
unprotected.
It could be an 18-foot stinger.
Yeah.
That is not gaffed down. There's nothing, protecting people from tripping over it.
Yeah, and falling face first into that bookshelf.
It's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yeah.
It's also just plain ugly.
It is.
It's black wires. We can make this cleaner.
Yeah. I mean, an electrical mat or just gaffer tape, anything to...
There's so many solutions. Even just, colorful painter's tape will do the trick. I mean, that's better than a beehive of just loose cords.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely troubling that they dropped the ball on this element in this episode. Because, again, I didn't notice any stray cords last time. We really commended her the last time we checked in with her on, all the technicals were there.
Maybe wireless doesn't work. Maybe wireless doesn't work, and we have to go back to just plug and play lighting. We don't know what this was for. Maybe it was even for the clock. I don't know. Maybe it was going to some, Video Village control panel of sorts.
There's no way to determine that. But
it's a lost cause, but it's sloppy, and a lot of this really just goes to there's no quality control in the production. We need Alex to be able to focus on the conversation. She's been crafting conversation since 2018. It's what makes Call Her Daddy a top 10 weekly charting podcast. So when her responsibility now is, I have to know that there's loose wires behind me. I have to know.
Trip over if I happen to want to get up out of my chair. If I want to thumb through any of these books on my bookshelf.
Yep.
God forbid I want to open, To Kill a Mockingbird.
No. Catcher in the Rye, face first just into a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
They'll be hell to pay if Alex trips over that wire. And the Call Her Daddy team should be well aware that this needs to be cleaned up.
But you know what? Maybe they like to live on the edge.
Okay.
I mean, that basket is so close to the fireplace, right? God, it's almost like this set is almost a giant
middle finger to, authority.
To the codes of saying, hey, a podcast set should be safe.
Yeah.
Hey, a podcast set shouldn't have hazards, safety hazards. But no, to that we say, forget.
I don't like this anarchist bend to Call Her Daddy. I want to see people being protected. I want podcasters being safe on set.
I think they should be wearing hard hats in, this studio because that... I feel like a beam's going to fall, and I think at this point get scaffolding.
Yeah.
I don't know what those ceilings look like, and I don't want to know. But she's saying F it, and that actually segues perfectly into the energy of this episode. It is we're going to curse. We're going to say fuck and
It's something
shit.
they bond over. Both Alex and Charlize, they're known for dropping the F-bomb quite a bit.
I realize we have a couple things in common. And maybe we'll find out more today. But one of them being, we're notoriously known for saying the word fuck.
Yes.
I mean, they are loquacious.
But not only that, they're drinking vodka within the first couple minutes of this podcast.
Somewhere in the world, it's happy hour. We're cheersing. We've got a little vodka. And we're going to have a great conversation today.
Yeah.
And additionally, Charlize's hoodie that she's wearing, it says 6, but it's the graphic design of it. It really, the middle folds in and it looks like sex.
Yeah, the second your eyes lay eyes on them, you think, okay, this is a provocative hoodie.
Yes. And so it's reads sex.
Yeah.
So that with the vodka, with the cursing, makes me think
You got alcohol consumption.
This is an 18 and up episode.
You got sexual themes. Mm-hmm. You've got what else? Crude language. Yeah, this is all the trappings of something that would.
Well, not only that, she's promoting her movie, The Old Guard 2, which has a lot of violence in it.
Did your daughters go to the premiere last night?
They did. My youngest likes to kind of like just ride along with me. The movie isn't right for her. She's too young. There's too much violence in it.
That is R-rated in it. So if you mention an R-rated movie, I mean, I hate to bring back the Hays Code here, guys, but you talk about that on a podcast, you two better slap an 18 and up code on that. We can't have kids just stumbling into content on the internet, wherever and however they choose, even using these, VPNs and such to watch this content. You should have to show your ID. Maybe I'm getting it a little too autocratic.
No. We don't want another Elsa Gate plaguing YouTube. We want YouTube cracking down on what kids are, exposed to.
They should be on Cool Math Games.
Yeah.
Not saying, wow, I'd love to wear a hoodie that says sex.
Yeah, there's a time.
It should say SEGS, SEGGS.
That's right.
And if Charlize wore that, maybe I'd feel a little differently.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for children to discover, the more adult trappings of life. And this is something that Charlize lives by. She says that her own kids aren't allowed to drop the F-bomb.
I swear in front of my kids because I feel like, I am a responsible mom, but I am who I am. I'm not ashamed of who I am. I also want to teach my kids that there are things for them to look forward to. They don't necessarily get to say that right now, but that's really fun because they're going to grow up and get to say what they want.
She's like saving it as a little treat for them as they get older and mature. And I think that's responsible parenting.
I do like that kind of parenting.
Actually, set limits, but also, don't be that strict. Like you just let them know that there'll be a time and a place for them to develop that habit of dropping an F-bomb when they want to.
That's right. The White Claw ad also just, further proves that this is very explicit episode, right? We're literally promoting alcohol, and beyond that, there's a Tinder ad.
Yeah.
We're promoting dating.
Yeah.
Or friendships.
Yeah.
Friendships.
It could be. I mean, I think that's more Bumble's bend. Bumble's
you
more.
You can make friends on Tinder.
Look, if you want to make friends on the cheap sex app, I guess be my guest. I guess that makes me a hedonist. But let's focus on the White Claw ad read because I think there is a small element that needs to be fixated upon for just a moment. There's what looks to be a gadget in the upper left corner of the frame. When it cuts to the side angle on Alex, I just couldn't help but notice this weird thing in the corner. I don't know if it was a microphone. What do you make of that?
I speculate that it was an additional boom op. The reason I think this is because the audio was crisp, and actually hats off to the audio team. It was immaculate in the ads, and it was immaculate in the episode. And there were points where Charlize was talking. She could not have been further away from the mic.
Now, obviously, by California laws.
Brilliant execution of just audio perfection. Yeah. I don't know if she was wearing a lav. I don't know if there were additional boom ops, plant mics.
Audio remained crystal clear.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. Yeah. And you have to think audio really actually is a big part of podcasting. And so besides the video, and so we want that to be crisp. And the Caller Daddy team, they know how to do it.
Yeah.
But besides audio, the ads, we could have upped the production budget just a little bit more, right? I mean, we really have to service these advertisers. They're making podcasts possible. So when I see chords wrapped up in plain sight again, where's the best boy on this set?
I asleep at the wheel, and I don't know what the cam op was doing. I don't know what settings this was being recorded with, but the Tinder ad read, a lot of grain, and it looked like it was maybe ISO induced.
Right. So let's just do the benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah.
They're shooting on cameras where the native ISO isn't that high, right? Yeah. And we can't get that much. We can't allow that much light in. We're going to have to add additional lights. We're going to have to make a grid over top. We're just going to have to pencil that into the budget, right? And we're going to have to say, if you want to do the ads and want to do them the right way.
Can't be in a dim room.
But I will say, the White Claw ad, I mean, the location scout really snapped.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It looks like they were shooting in the set of Mulholland Drive. We have this very Hollywood kind of, showman's curtain, right?
Yeah.
This kind of red curtain, right? And the lighting really on Alex's face felt, it was Lynchian.
Yeah. I mean, it was reminiscent of the back rooms of Ryan Entertainment.
It was.
The movie studio featured in the film.
But specifically with ads, I want to say how we got there. Alex, she knows how to deal with a cliffhanger.
When you started making money, what did you spend your first big paycheck on? Call Her Daddy is brought to you by Tinder.
Fuck me. I have been blessed with really, really good people in my life.
That's half the battle.
I'm a lucky bitch.
Call Her Daddy is brought to you by Neutrogena.
I mean, we had several emotional beats in this episode. I mean, the whole episode was jam-packed with, tense subject matter where Charlize opened up quite candidly about past struggles with sexual abuse and alcoholism in her family and just overcoming trial after tribulation and becoming such an inspirational movie star in America after having moved from South Africa, having risked quite a bit.
Getting on a one-way flight here.
Yeah.
And now even being a mother.
That's right. Charlize has been through so much, experienced so much, and it's really shaped who she is today and informed who she is today. And with her retelling a lot of this, it brought on a lot of emotional swells. And I think two of these were really nicely accentuated by Alex immediately cutting to an ad read, whether it was with White Claw or Tinder, and then it was Neutrogena at one point.
Well, it's obvious that Alex is such a deft podcasting host that she's going to create a space that, Charlize felt very comfortable in.
Yeah.
And a watershed moment for me was when she really allowed her set to be totally malleable.
Yeah.
When Charlize wanted to get more comfortable physically, in order to get more comfortable emotionally, she took this pillow that seemed to be kind of crushing her lumbar, and she threw it on the floor.
Sorry, I'm just going to take this out. Oh,
you got it.
Yeah. I mean, this thing had to have been just pinging her in the back.
It
looked like it was probably causing a sore on her back or something.
It didn't look like she was sinking into it. It looked very rigid.
Yeah.
And, she had to throw it, right?
Yeah. Onto the floor. I mean, this is a sandbox that Alex has created for her guests to come in and play and shape and form.
But not only that, it's the realization that they didn't call cut.
Yeah.
You didn't hear the ringing of the bell saying, guys, take 5, crew, take 5, lunch break.
No.
We're going to reset the set.
No.
We didn't see a PA fly into set and grab the pillow. We didn't see the pillow handler come in.
Yeah.
And reach for that and, escort it out. We saw a conversation happening in real time. And the fact that, Charlize was able to be as candid as she was with, topics that really are uncomfortable to talk about and uncomfortable to relive that trauma.
I mean, when I saw that pillow on the ground, I saw cinema verite.
Charlize was almost saying, this is me.
Yeah.
I'm unapologetic. And I think, the title of this episode was I Don't Need No Man.
Yeah.
Right? Or something like that.
Yeah, Charlize Theron, I don't need a man.
I don't need a man. And I feel like a big part of this episode was Charlize talking about the way she feels really in relationships and, her struggles with codependency and losing herself and the boundaries she's had to set up and the lifestyle that she lives. And it is very unapologetic. And, she talks about leading a life that she wants to live and breaking these cycles of, abuse and trauma and now being a mother, how important that is.
Yeah.
This was a beautiful space for them to have this conversation. It was so carefully prepared and crafted. And that's why it hurts even more to see the wires on the floor. Yeah. I don't want to have to get back into that.
No, it's a real headache.
But, I think Charlize was really brave.
It's also just she's speaking from what she knows. Like what she has experienced has utterly and totally informed who she is today, where she knows that, relationships just don't really naturally work for her, that she is more comfortable as a single mother raising her children. And look, she'll find connections with partners when she needs to.
And Alex works with her husband, right?
Yeah.
So, Charlize is saying, I'm totally open to the fact that women can have completely different relationships, but she's like, I don't want the media to look at me and say, oh, look at this,
The spinster.
older woman who's, what's wrong with her, what's broken with her. And it's like, she just knows who she is.
Yeah.
And she knows who she is to the point where maybe things get a little dangerous with advertisements, right? She talks about dating apps being a bit of a clown show.
The apps are just horrible.
Oh, it's hard.
No, it's not hard. It's a clown show.
Yeah,
And
I
this
hate
is
to throw a red flag.
This is with Alex, taking money from Tinder, promoting Tinder,
In the same
servicing
episode.
Tinder.
Yeah.
And now Charlize is saying these apps are crap.
Yeah, I do have to wonder if Alex sends her episodes to sponsors for review before upload, because I can't imagine any, big wigs at Tinder watching
They're not
this
happy
episode
to see
completion.
this. They're not happy to see this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Was the risk worth it? Because Alex took a risk here. She saw the edit. She was in the editing bay. Maybe it slipped her mind in conversation.
Possible.
And she said, you know what? We're not going to cut this. We're going to keep it candid. It's a conversation. This is unedited. We're going to put it out. Willing to lose the Tinder sponsorship. She puts it out. And to me, the risk paid off, because Tinder, when this gets sent to these ad companies for review, Tinder could have said, we're pulling the ad.
Yeah.
Tinder said, keep it in there.
Yeah, Charlize says the dating apps are horrible. That's a big word.
She says
very
they're
negative
a clown
connotation.
show. She said there's a clown show, right?
Yeah.
And you're looking at the ringleader, right? Taking selfies with his hands in his jeans. Shirtless, right?
Yeah, she
All
alludes
kind of
to
these guys, right?
Yeah, she says
Who could be your friend as well?
your friend or my friend?
Who could be your friend on the app?
Her friend on the
it could
she
be-
wanted to be a friend with one of these guys that she sees with
But
his thumb in the jeans.
And again, I just want to go back to this. Do you think the risk paid off for me 100%? They nailed it. They really stuck the landing. It was a risk.
If you're anti-corporate, I guess this is a big middle finger to the man.
But Tinder allowed it to go through. So it's
I don't
almost
know.
like
I don't know if they did. This could have gone
well,
under
certainly
their nose.
they reviewed the episode. You think
That's what I'm asking, is if they got
you think the Tinder
review.
you think the Tinder liaison was just asleep at the wheel, did not catch that?
Possible. Maybe he's too busy swiping for friends.
Okay. Well,
Or she. Could be a liaison, could be a she.
well, there were no problems with the Neutrogena or the White Claw sponsorships. Even though they were drinking vodka, I would think they would drink White Claw, but would that be competing with Alex Cooper's Unwell drink?
Well, that's an important question too, because Charlize opts for the vodka at a couple moments. I don't see her touch the Unwell drink on her stand at all.
No.
And actually, I did notice.
But neither did Millie Bobby Brown.
That's true.
Sorry.
So I don't know if maybe they are purely there as display and they aren't to be touched. Maybe,
Totally plastic.
Maybe the guests are informed that they should not keep their paws off these things. Mm-hmm. But I did want to note that at one point, I think this was at an hour and 22 minutes or so, Charlize picked up her vodka glass, but it never made it to her lips. She wasn't able to take a sip of it at this moment because Alex distracts her with questions.
Oh, thank God. Did your daughters go to the premiere last night?
They did. My youngest likes to kind of like just ride along with me. The movie isn't right for her. She's too young. There's too much violence in it. But most of the movies that I've made since they've been around have been during.
She asks, like, do your kids know what a big deal you are? Like, are they aware of your
Do you think that
superstar?
was just her way of saying, you've had enough?
I don't know if it was her way of maybe pushing the Unwell. If they're allowed to drink it, I wonder if she was like, hey, look, maybe I'll distract you. Maybe you'll put it back down, realize that you are still thirsty in a minute, and then pick up the Unwell instead. It could be strategic.
I was reading it as, let me ask you a question so you don't drive tonight. Because I don't think you're going to be okay behind the wheel.
Wow. You think she was doing last call?
It might have been. But overall, right?
Yeah.
This episode, I think it was fantastic. I think Charlize really brought the heat.
Yeah, it was
Truly
really
a tremendous interview. And I mean, we've barely scratched the surface of a lot of things they're talking about, where it's just personal experience, personal growth, to the point where Charlize came here, like you said, with a one-way ticket to LA, not knowing how she was going to make it in this town. Next thing you know, she's going bald for Mad Max, which Alex was kind of making jokes about her going bald.
You've gone bald. You know what I mean? Well, you were bald. You shaved your head.
There's a buzz and there's bald. Like,
You've gone bald.
Yeah, she was a bit crude in that description, and I think
What's wrong with getting a Brazilian on your head, you know? It's a nice little landing strip. I've never felt freer.
Would you consider what you got going bald?
Yes.
Interesting. Like, I guess it's like balder, but I think bald is like a pretty definitive sum zero.
I'm
game.
lowercase b bald.
Okay. I haven't seen uppercase B bald.
I'm not bald eagle.
Okay.
I'm just bald. Not even bald, period. But there's a quote that I think we should end on.
Okay, yeah.
When Alex said, at the end of the episode, I forgot there were cameras.
You're such a good hang, and it felt like I forgot there were cameras.
She's reflecting on her time in the episode, how much she enjoyed her time with Charlize.
Being totally present and locked into an engaging and insightful conversation that she forgot they were being recorded in the first place.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because she's almost looking at podcasts as saying, wow, it's amazing what can happen when there's a space that it makes you feel like it's just a conversation being recorded in time. Yeah. This is maybe alluding to when podcasts were just audio only.
Yeah.
And, having camera guys in there, it's kind of intruding on the emotional space, right? A little bit.
Yeah, especially when they're not going to get the wide shot perfectly centered. But I do have to wonder.
Why even have cameras at that point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do have to wonder, did Alex not even notice the cord in her peripheral? She forgot there was a cord on the ground behind her.
I almost wonder if she wanted to try audio only on this one, for maybe meant to send a text to an executive producer, forgot to do it. Cameras show up, and there's no blocking. Yeah. And this is how these mistakes happen, right? I mean, the wide shot's totally crap. We could throw that out. I mean, if I saw those dailies of that podcast, boom, in the trash. Reshoot the whole thing.
I mean, at the end of the day, though, she has final say over the export, I imagine. And you could always export just MP3, no H.264.
That's right.
So I don't know. I think maybe she did intend for it to be video in the end.
Yeah, but it's all bureaucratic, right? I'm sure they were locked into contracts with Tinder, Neutrogena, and White Claw about, video stipulations.
That's where things get muddy, but that's also the beauty of podcasting is, you get muddy for the money. And so, I mean, this was a great second chance in time with Call Her Daddy. I mean, I am really enjoying what we've seen of the series so far. These are compelling conversations. I mean, Charlize, really incredible guest, really brought a lot to the table, a totally interesting perspective which doesn't get shared often.
Well, what I'd like to see in the future, let's gaff down those wires.
Oh,
let's clean that up.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to ask a third time.
No.
We need to move that basket away from the fireplace.
Yeah.
Again, it's a safety hazard.
No,
I don't like seeing it.
Some guest stumbles onto set after a few too many vodkas or unwells, and they just want to get even cozier. They got the pillow on the floor already. They just want to get cozier and light the fireplace. That place will go up in smoke. I mean, that basket is so precarious.
It's
really alarming.
And lastly, maybe the checks come due for a trip to Ashley Furniture.
Really?
Maybe these couches aren't as comfortable as we thought. Charlize had to throw the cushion on the floor. Maybe we need to look at the hospitality we're providing and say, if our guests are walking out of here with a cane because their backs are, smashed, then maybe we need to get an interior decorator in there, a designer, to say, hey, maybe we could look at some couches that fit the vibe still,
Yeah.
but provide more ergonomic support. I'm not saying you have to get like an Eames chair with an ottoman or something.
I mean, in this economy, $8,000 for a chair.
I think you could afford it. 3 ads. We're doing well.
Yeah.
We're doing well in a top 10
mean,
podcast. We are.
We'll see if Tinder sticks around, but I'm sure there'll be
Okay.
backups. I'm sure. But yeah, look, Eames, I'd love to see it. If Alex, if you can splurge,
this
go
is
for it.
this is a pie in the sky idea. But besides that, we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for checking us out. We're going to be covering a wide variety of podcasts, so
That's right.
stay tuned.
Yeah, thanks for
We'll be back.
tuning in every week, and take care until next week. Bye.
Cheers.